Alright. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of me playing Minecraft and testing different audio and video settings. Excuse me while I adjust myself here in the seat. Missed putting out a video yesterday, and that was mostly because I was frantically studying for an exam that I had today. Was quite a difficult exam, but I don't think I'm going to get too much into that here on this series. I believe I talked last time a little bit about a new series idea that I wanted to start, and that had to do with sort of a survival series, and I wanted that to be more of a vloggy type channel. So I think I'm going to stick to that. On par for today in terms of a build. Looking for ladders, and I've already forgotten I put them on both sides. Yes, in terms of the build, what I want to work on today, and I believe I've adjusted the settings fairly decently so they are not quite too terrible. We'll see. I'm having issues with the S sound, which I'm probably over-enunciating now. Let's turn that music slightly down, because it does sound a little bit on the loud side. But I think I finally solved at least in-game audio issues, where you should be able to hear the walking and things of that nature. So, on par for today is going to be sort of starting that I've got S on the brain after trying to solve the audio problems that I've got going on here. No, that's not what I meant at all. Connecting the mini cylinders here to some sort of walkway, probably made out of cobblestone. I'm thinking slabs could be a kind of a cool idea. And to continue on with that little bit 3D from the ground perspective, I'm going to try to hopefully get most of these guys back here. Great. Okay, good. And I'm also practicing trying to not destroy the blocks from under me. So yes, on par for today is going to be building this guy here. We do have a joke question of the day. Not a joke question, but a joke of the day and a question of the day. Got both of those on par for today, as well as some science news. We're going to try to bring that back here, and instead of having a file that when I click on it opens up in front of this recording screen here, because I don't record on full screen, I have a notepad open here in a separate window. So I got that going on, and I just jotted down a quick article that I thought was kind of cool sounding. I'm going to try to make this a little bit longer of an episode since I've missed the past couple days because of school and whatnot. I had to study for quite a difficult exam. And so, where do we want to start? I've also got a quote of the day. I've got all three. Let me adjust Notepad really quickly off camera. And the quote of the day is going to be somewhat relating to what's on my mind here. I think that's probably going to be a fairly regular occurrence, is that I'm just going to make that whatever's sort of on my mind at the time. So in this case, since I've been studying quite hard, and my temporary job is at a college as well, so I've had quite a bit of college and school time here, I chose a quote about education, and I want to sort of share a couple thoughts on that. So let's jump into the swing of things here with the quote of the week, or the day, or the month, or the year, whatever we got going on. Is that 64 already? I suppose it was. I'm going to need quite a bit more. Okay. Quote of the day is by John Dewey. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. And I like this quote, partially because of what I said a minute ago with that. I've just got sort of school and education on the brain because I've just been so focused on that the past few days. But the other part of it, and sort of the segue that I want to have here, is that education is definitely an important thing, and that doesn't necessarily just correspond with formal education. And by formal, I mean going to college or university or things of that nature and getting a degree. Education comes in many forms and many facets, and I think a lot of people don't think about that, and they don't have that mentality when they're talking about education. Generally, when people say education, they think of school, and that, traditional school, where you go to a four-year university or whatever that may be. And I don't think that is necessarily a proper way to view it. I think we need a resurgence of more technical schools and technical job fields. A big topic of discussion, and I'm going to try to just gloss over it as fairly quickly as I can here, because that could be a whole hour-long debate in and of itself. But the sort of decline of the working class, or sort of the middle class, in my opinion, can sort of be attributed to a lack of focus on alternative jobs. And what I mean by that are blue-collar jobs, things of that nature, where instead of a university that you go to a trade school or a vocational school. And I think that's an important thing that a lot of people end up glossing over, thinking isn't as important as I think it should be. I think that those jobs and those careers are highly respectable, and anybody who's got that sort of job definitely has my respect. It is a hard day of work, especially if you are in, like a construction business or a moving business or anything like that. To briefly sort of transition, the job where I'm working at a school is a physical job. I'm working part-time in the science department, and we had a retirement of one of our professors, a geology professor, and so what they're doing is they're moving all of his equipment. And as I'm sure you can imagine, a geology professor, most of their equipment just so happens to be rocks. So what I'm doing is literally moving a ton of rocks, probably 2 football fields from one building to the next. And that is a physical, long day of work. And even after a short day, I had, a fairly short, I think 6-hour day yesterday. I was just exhausted. I just couldn't continue anymore. So that's sort of a little side tangent in terms of the job that I'm doing, and sort of why I have respect for people who are in these careers and these professions that are more blue collar. For more sort of talk and discussion, and probably said so a lot more eloquently that I could possibly say, is check out the TED Talk by Mike Rowe. Just go into Google or YouTube, type in Mike Rowe TED Talk, and definitely go and check that out. He's, as you may or may not know, he is the dirty jobs guy. He's done who knows how many hundreds, if not thousands, of blue-collar, hard-working jobs. And it's interesting because he, if I remember his background correctly, he is a college-educated boy himself. He's got a degree in possibly theater, something along those lines, but he was an opera singer as well for quite a while, and he did that. And then, some sort of transition into voiceover work and whatnot. But the important thing is sort of his jump from doing more collegiate, I don't want to say level, because that sort of has a negative connotation to it, but sort of collegiate events or lifestyles, whatever you sort of want to think about it as, to doing these, hard-working jobs. And he has, literally met Americans and the stereotypical sort of embodiment of what an American is. And I, go watch TED Talk, see what you think. I tend to agree with what he thinks and how he feels on a lot of things, where we definitely need to bring back sort of blue-collar jobs and things of that nature if we want to continue to have 3 sort of tiers of economics, not just that, but to continue having a successful country as a whole, let alone just from an economic standpoint, just from a global standpoint. If we don't manufacture anything, if we have no goods or services to supply to a global economy, we can kiss our economy goodbye. So I guess that's sort of my little mini rant. I mean, that stuff like that could be, you could talk about that for hours. I mean, that's definitely something that can eat up quite a long video and various discussion and talking points, but that's sort of a little thing that I wanted to talk about. Another sort of branch off of that is, I guess, how do I really want to put it? Sort of why the reason I chose the science field. There are many factors, and as I'm sort of getting older, one of the more prominent ones is the my history is not very great. I want to say it was Kennedy when we first went to the moon. His famous, we don't go to the moon because we have to or because it's easy, but we do it because it's hard. That is honestly one of the reasons I have sort of chosen to want to get into the sciences, because it's not every aspect of it, and certainly after the number of hours I put in studying for the exam I had today, it's definitely not something that just automatically comes easy to me, where I can just show up to a lecture, sit on a smartphone or tablet or computer or whatever, not pay attention, and then show up on the day of the exam and get an A. That is not the case at all for me. I probably spent this last week alone, in terms of studying, 7 or 8 hours trying to prepare for this one, and even so, it was quite a difficult exam. Now, of course, this is a summer course, and so summer courses are generally faster paced because you've got less time. So this is a 10-week, 4-hour-a-week course, and that's sort of one of the reasons why I decided to get into the science field, is just by the fact that it's not something that comes easy to me, where I can just sort of sit down and listen to something once and just know it. I personally have to practice at it. So that's sort of, I guess, the talking points I really necessarily wanted to have on that there. I'm going to go ahead and jump cut rather, to the bottom here, and we're going to go ahead and take a look. Gather up some more eggs, because why not? Our free-range chickens seem to be doing very nice. And let's go ahead, get on up here and see what we can see and see how it's looking. Okay, I definitely like the more angular part of it here from the mini cylinders, if you will. I think it definitely adds to that next dimension and that next layer, and I think it's going to give me something to where I can work with even another level or layer here. This is definitely sort of the build that is definitely evolving on its own. It's, I have ideas of things that I want to do. I originally thought that maybe this would be the end of it here, and just make a couple of these sort of mini cylinders go up a little bit, and then that was sort of going to be the end of the build, and then move on to something else. But I think adding this new dimension here with this angular cobblestone, I think that's definitely going to lead to further building up, which I think is actually going to end up being really cool, because that's going to allow more, if I change it to, let's go to video settings here, and let's go to normal. That fog starting to roll in there. Let's even go to short. Is that going to be too short here? So you can kind of see it poking its head out of the fog here, which I think is really cool. It's just sort of this mysterious thing shrouded in fog. But just go back to our normal settings here. So I think that extending it even further up, because the new world height is, I say new, it's actually quite old. The world height's, 256 up, so even just sitting here, I'm at, 70, so up there I'm probably at maybe 100, so that means I got another 150 or so blocks, which I think is pretty darn cool to work with in the vertical dimension. Alright, so cool, very nice. Let's head on back up to the top here. Back on up to the top here. A really cool thing is, even from here you can see from the bottom level here, you can really start to see the more intricacies of the design. So you can definitely see that there's a little bit of a lip there. It does tend to get blurred out as the sort of the further away that you get from it, but from here you can definitely see that there's that lip there, which I like. Probably gonna end up doing something, well, maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. But also it's just sort of like the vertical intricacy that you can notice just from looking up and looking in different directions. I think that's a pretty darn cool feature here. I grabbed a couple eggs from the chicken farm there, just a couple, just a few, not very many. This is an empty chest, so I'm just going to throw everything on into here in terms of eggs, except for a couple stacks, because who doesn't love just random chickens running around? None, huh? 2 stacks and oh, okay, oh, I was too far. 2 stacks and we got 4? 4 little guys? Okay, that's fine. Let's grab ourselves some stand stones. And I don't have a ton. Great. I probably don't even have enough to do one more mini cylinder. I was going to call it a regular cylinder. So, might have to make a trip on over to... That's the wrong place for you. You need to stay in the old inventory. Thank you very much. Have a very nice day. Let's go ahead and throw one of the water buckets possibly up in there. It's going to be nighttime here soon. Okay, let's just head up really quickly. On up. Moving on up. Moving on down. Moving all around. Anyway. We still have our question of the day, joke of the day, and even our science news. And our science news is actually pretty darn cool, I think. Now, are we going to hit something? Gosh, it's going to be close. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't, but... Just missed it. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Now that it's going to be nighttime, let's head on down. Falling is fine. That'll work. Let's take the water elevator down while we heal up. So, is it nighttime yet? Just about? Ah, it is. Okay, so let's start with the joke of the day now. As I adjust, I do apologize. I need to get some WD-40 for my squeaky chair here. It's starting to even get to me. So, the joke of the day is not repair and naming on the anvil. No, that is not at all what it is. The joke of the day today is the following. So, a guy has a talking dog, excuse me. So, a man has a talking dog, and he takes him to a talent agent. And he goes up to the talent agent and says, hey, I have a dog that can speak English, believe it or not, of all languages. So, of course, the guy goes, really, that's interesting, okay. Well, let's see if your dog can answer a question for me. And he goes, okay, sure, yeah, that's fine. So he looks down at the dog and he says, okay, dog here, who can speak. I need to count and tell a joke at the same time. I guess joke will take precedent. Yes, I suppose. Or should we hold off until I'm done counting? Let's hold off until I'm done counting. So, remember where we're at. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a tenner. Okay, so now, the question was, before we got so rudely interrupted by counting sandstone, can't believe that's sandstone these days, he's gonna ask him a question. He says, okay, dog, what is on the top of a house? And the dog goes, roof. The guy goes, haha, very funny, okay. How about this question? Okay. He says, what does sandpaper feel like? And the dog goes, rough. And the guy goes, haha, okay, very funny. Here, this is gonna be your last chance here, okay? I'm really busy here. I don't have time for shenanigans and playing around. The guy goes, okay, come on, just ask him one more question. So the guy goes, okay, fine. Who, in your opinion, is the greatest baseball player of all time? And the dog looks at him and he says, Ruth. Now at this point, he's not happy anymore, to say the least. He's quite upset, and he goes, "You know what? Get out of my office. This is just ridiculous. I'm so busy. I don't have time for things like this. Just go on. Just get out of here." And the dog looks at his owner and he says, "Should I have said DiMaggio?" Now, I like this joke. I think it's quite funny. I need to do some counting, though. Hold on. 1, 2, 3... Oh, that's 4, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Nope, not jump. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, great. And then add 2 onto these sides here. Now, the reason I'm a fan of this joke here is that you think you know where it's going. You think it's going to go, oh, ha ha, very funny, talking dog, just as rough and roof and, various different takes on barking, right? And then at the end he turns to his owner and he says, you think I should have said DiMaggio, huh? And I just think that's, quite a funny joke, because it does have that misleading quality, which I guess is sort of the point of jokes. I think the original definition of a joke is just something that is, almost ironic, which meaning it's unexpected. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's our joke of the day. I thought it was pretty funny. I definitely like that one there. We could move on now to the question of the day. I think that would be a good segment to jump on into. And so, our question of the day today is, what is something trivial that infuriates you? Now, there's a reason I chose this question, and anybody who knows me knows why I chose this question. I think as I may have stated before, I'm in my mid-20s, but I'm going on mid-60s. There are a lot of, arguably trivial things that just really annoy me. Biggest pet peeve or trivial annoyance would be just not following standard social cues. And I understand if somebody's not up to par with what social standards most people follow, but if you're born and raised in a similar area that I was and am, you gotta know the basics of social cues and social standards, and so one of my biggest pet peeves are just sort of not conforming to social standards. Another one is probably driving etiquette. Oh man, people just need to learn how to drive, especially when you're on a single lane road or a 2-lane road, or as the British would call it, is that a dual carriageway? Is that like a quad carriageway? Is a dual carriageway the one where you've got like 1 lane on both sides, or is that 2 lanes on both sides? I'm not sure. I'm not British by nature. I know it wasn't obvious by my voice. I've got quite a British accent going on here, but just a lot of little things can just sort of just get to me a little bit. I'm not sure if that's necessarily like an OCD type of a thing, but just a lot of common sense things that a lot of people tend not to do, and you tend to see stuff like that in higher density. So I go to a school in a fairly large city, and you tend to see quite often, sorry, I had to scratch my eye there, you see quite often people just not conforming to a lot of social standards and basic common sense laws. If you're riding a bicycle in the street, you gotta follow street laws. That means stopping at red lights or stop signs. That means, giving right of way if somebody gets there first. Little things like that. Again, common sense things that, in my opinion, should be in I missed that jump. Common sense. Let's see. I, again, want to keep the show less anecdotal, less about the anecdotes and more, I guess, opinion and, the different segments and stuff. We're going to head on over to the sandstone farm. Do we have time? We've got time. We're going to head on over to the sandstone farm. I'm definitely liking that there. The blue water is very nicely contrasting the different colors that we have there, and I think that, as I fall in a puddle, I think that is a really cool addition, and I think that'll help things here. It's almost spaceship-esque or satellite-esque, and it almost looks like like a water-powered rocket. I remember, again, less anecdotes, when I was a kid, going over to a friend's house, I guess, parents, friends, and all that kind of stuff, and they had engineered a pretty darn cool, oh boy, don't shoot me, don't know me, okay, good, a pretty darn cool water cannon rocket system thing where you used plastic cans or plastic bottles, excuse me, to make these sort of water rocket things, and I guess that's sort of what the cylinder and the mini cylinders are sort of reminding me of there. What was the other anecdote I was going to talk about? I don't remember. Oh, no, let's not jump into a space there and lose all of our momentum. So, okay, come on. There we go. There we go. Very nice. No friend zombie pigman this time. That's fine with me. I've done this so many times now, you'd think I would know which side of the portal to exit, which side of the base to do the run jump to get my jump on. But no. Still haven't learned. So I was talking about things that infuriated me. Trivial things. Ah, yes, okay, I was going to talk about. So I've volunteered for a local Relay for Life for the past 3 or 4 years. I think going on 3, or just finished up with 3 recently, but that seems slow. Anyway, so if you're not familiar with what the organization is or what the event is, Relay for Life is a walkathon for cancer research, and something that's important to me. I not only as a scientist, but have personal ties with that and stuff. But let's see, where was I going with that? Yeah, so it's a walkathon. It's a 24-hour walkathon. I generally try to grab some levels here. No, I generally try to beat my previous year's record in terms of number of laps, and so. Some people do a runathon, sort of treat like a marathon where they do a lot of running and stuff. I don't. I stick to walking. I sort of think myself as more of a long-haul trucker than a sprint car, if you will, or a dragster, which a lot of people, they'll end up doing a marathon. Last year we had somebody end up doing a whole marathon length, which is, 40 miles, whatever it is, or 25, 30, I don't know, but I can't find a way out of here. No, missed it. Okay, we're gonna dig our way out then, apparently. So anyway, I like to try to sort of think of myself as more of a long-haul trucker in these events, where I'll be the guy just walking for hours straight. First year we did it, I ended up doing, 35, 40 laps, and each lap is a quarter mile, so not a whole ton, not very many. Second year, I decided, well, you know what, I'm going to take on the night shift, and that's going to be my thing, and because we like to have at least one member from every team. I say we, I was on the committee this past year, and so we like to have at least one member from every team at all times be on track, just to sort of show support, sort of a thing for the event and all that kind of stuff. Because if it's a 24-hour event but there's nobody there in the middle of the night, it can get sort of disheartening for people. And it is an event for people who have battled cancer and won and survived and all that kind of stuff, to sort of be a celebration for them, for their victories, and remembrance for those who have lost the fight or the battle, if you will. But So if you have nobody there in the middle of the night, it just sort of becomes disheartening, which a lot of people don't necessarily like, myself included. So I definitely like the idea of, having somebody, at least a single member at a time. That usually ends up working out pretty nicely. So the second year I decided, I'm going to take on the night shift. That's going to be my thing. So, threw on a bunch of podcasts, some music, stuff like that, and, sort of went to town, so to speak. So I probably ended up doing 60 or so laps, probably. And I thought that was pretty good, and for the second time it was. This last year, when we had it, I did like close to, or I think I did 70 or so laps, maybe 75. What I just remember is close to 20 miles of just straight walking. I did it all at once, all in one take, much like these videos here. No, I definitely tried to do it in one take. A couple breaks here to grab water or grab a snack or whatever, but for the most part, it was a one shot deal. And so one of the things that would just really bug me as I was going by. So imagine going by the same place over and over again. I thought that was sand, and I thought there was an invisible block there. That's why I was a little confused. So going around, 70 times, 75 times, is that people would just sort of gather on the track itself. And so if you have a big group of people just standing on the track and not leaving a whole ton of space, that just sort of started to get to me. I was just sort of like, hey, come on, move along here, get out of the way, kind of a thing here. I'm walking, you're standing. Go stand on the infield of the track or the outside of the track or something. But unless you're walking, you shouldn't be on the track. And so that was, I guess, sort of one of the more trivial or petty even sort of things that would just really start to bug me. The other thing that was sort of related to that would be just people who were in large groups, but then they'd all walk, not single file, but they'd all walk, in arms, if you will, so to speak. But they end up taking the whole track, or if they were walking slowly or whatever, and it would force other people to get out of their way when they were sort of the traffic jam. And to me, it's just sort of, how are you unaware that you are causing just such a large problem? Just again want to remind, a reminder that this is trivial, petty things. So these are not real sort of annoyance. Well, they are real annoyances, but they're not. They're petty annoyances. But I guess the point is just the fact that little things like that just really just can get to me sometimes. Just sort of like, come on, move along here. Another one, my father and I went on a little just father-son sort of trip thing. We are into antiques, collectibles, geological things, things of that nature. So we like to do a lot of father-son sort of outings and events. And so we went on a trip to one of these. It was just going to be a day trip. Just sort of spend a day at the show and look at things. And if anything caught our eye, we could purchase or take it with us, whatever. So we did that, and we like to do a little bit of gambling. And when I say a little bit of gambling, I really do mean a little bit of gambling. Let's see. I've been able to legally gamble for about 3 years now. I just gave away my age, didn't I? And so it's a relatively new thing. My mom's not really that into it, so my dad. Gambling alone is honestly really depressing and really boring. So it's just sort of like, mom's not into it, dad's not gonna go by himself and do that kind of thing. But now that we're both sort of, it's definitely something we like to have a little bit of fun with. So our machines, the things that we just instantly go to and love to go to, are the video poker machines. Specifically, the penny, nickel, dime, and quarter video poker machines. So like I said, we're definitely not real big gamblers, but I preface that story to sort of go on and tell this one. We were at a casino, and they were having, I guess, just a ton of these almost giveaway things. So it was, if you're a registered member, scan your card now, and we'll announce, this big event where you can choose a suitcase and win, thousands of dollars, $50,000, something like that. So it's almost like a, what is that show? What is that game show? It's gonna bug me if I can't think of it. With Howie Mandel, you choose the cases. Deal or No Deal. That took far too long to remember. Deal or No Deal. So it was almost Deal or No Deal-esque in its its fashion, if you will. So, the guy's making the announcement, and it was probably, the original announcement was probably 30 minutes before the drawing was going to occur, so, every minute and a half the guy came over the PA, and it's in a casino, and if you've never been into one, I imagine a lot of people have, or most people have, but, you go into a casino, it's loud, it's noisy, there's just a lot going on, machines are trying to grab your attention, anybody on a PA is trying to grab your attention, there's always a lot of piped-in music, if there are any bars nearby, they're going to be loud, there's a lot of TVs going, so, it's definitely not a quiet environment, so, this guy was piped in so loud to the point where I literally just could not hear myself think, or, let alone really hear anything that was going on. So that guy was doing that every, seemed like 30 seconds. And it honestly drove me to the point of just being done playing the game I was playing. I think I was playing some video poker. It was just so loud and annoying, and just over and over again, the repetition of it. Obviously the guy's just doing his job, trying to promote this event to get people interested, so the casino can further make money. If you didn't know that, casinos are in business, and they are in business, if you know what I mean. They make money, and they make money. They are darn good at it. So it drove me to the point of saying, you know what, I'm done here. I'm going to finish up playing whatever, and I want to leave. I'm going to be done. I don't want to continue listening to this guy, over the loudspeaker over and over again. And so I think fairly shortly after that, either the contest ended or we left, or whatever the case ended up being. But sort of an interesting thing, because the casino was trying to get people more interested in playing, and it sort of ended up driving me away. So I guess it's sort of an example again of me mid-20s going on mid-60s, and sort of the trivial thing that just frustrates or infuriates me. So I'm going to go ahead, end up doing another jump cut here. I'm going to continue gathering some sandstone. We've got the science news of the day, and that is it. We are starting to get a little long in the tooth, around 37.5 minutes. So I'm going to jump cut again from here back here to the cylinder. I'm going to have to do something with this water here. I think I'm picking up eggs everywhere too. Went ahead and killed some cows, because as you can see here, we are out of food. Of course, by out of food, I mean not really at all, because there's a ton of food in here, but went ahead and grabbed that anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to have to do something with this water here, because it shouldn't just be flowing, and that's definitely not the center. I need to move it one more. So let's do that, and let's also, we've got 2 buckets, let's fill one of them on up with some water. Thank you. And then we're going to leave empty for that source block. But let's make our way back up to the cylinder, and I wanted to bring you along this time here, just to get a view of the underside, and just sort of the ascent back up into the cylinder, because I think it just looks really, really cool. I'm definitely a big fan of how it looks. That's interesting, the water disappears when you're in water. That's kind of curious. Never really noticed that before. I definitely am not a big fan of how long it takes to get through when it's like that, and then how it just speeds up as soon as you're done. Definitely like to see something like that altered, just to make it so it's an even speed. I'm just not a big fan of the way that's set up. I think it could be set up a little bit better. Went ahead and threw the iron. I made 2 chests, excuse me. Made a couple of furnaces over, actually we've got coal here. Over on the beach there, threw the iron that you saw me grab in there. Let's throw the leather into here, leather containing items. So here, you can see the amount of sandstone that I got. Definitely going to be enough for whatever sort of build. And of course, by whatever sort of build, I mean, you know exactly what build I want to complete today. At least complete that one extra one, and maybe throw on the cobblestone, smoothstone slabs. That should be enough to get me by for the rest of this episode anyway. Hop our way on up here. So yes, we do have our science news of the day. I think I'm going to do it slightly different. The way I was doing it before was just sort of taking headlines. You sort of saw that picture in one of those episodes there, that headline thing where basically went and took that. I have to wait for that to go all the way down. So I'm waiting for that. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this guy over here. Oh. I definitely thought there was going to be a fall in near future there, but nope, thankfully not. So yeah, I sort of was taking sort of the picture top news of week whatever and picking and choosing headlines from that. I think I'm going to change. I think I'm going to go the newspaper route, I guess I'm going to call it. So things found more in newspapers, headlines from newspapers and stuff, as opposed to... And that's still there, right? No? That's right. Right, no, okay. I just completely confused myself for no reason. I did waste all of that sandstone, because I'm probably not going to get most of it back. Unless I jump down. Oh! It's definitely an unintentional jump down. That was quite devastating. That took quite a bit of health, which means I'm probably going to need more food. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last time, but the way the sort of hunger and health system works now is when you take damage, it's similar to like if you're sprinting or mining or something like that, to where it just takes more of your hunger bar away to regenerate your health. It's been a little bit of controversy with the... Well, not really controversy, but sort of interesting discussion has come from the new health regeneration mode. Why am I taking this out? No, that stays. You can tell I am a little on the tired side. Okay, now let's try this again. So that's our center point. We're going to take these guys down and not fall this time. And then put these guys up here. And then put these guys over here. And then fill in the center, so we have to knock out those there torches. It's like these here United States, but it's those there torches. Oh. That torch went flying. Ah, surprised to still see it up here. There it is. Okay. Now that we've got that worked out, there should be one here. And here. Okay, good. A little bit of precision clicking there, and it's almost nighttime again. Sometimes I wish it wasn't in 10-minute cycles. Day-night cycle or 10 minutes. I wish sometimes it would be a little bit longer, both night and day, although I guess that would make surviving the first night if you don't find a sheep quite difficult. So I guess that's a plus. But I mean, if you had a longer day cycle, so let's say it's like 20 minutes, so let's say it's double. If it's double that of what it normally is, you're more than likely to have enough time to find sheep, at the very least kill 3 of them. If you're really good, you'll find your shears and take care of it that way. Let's go ahead. It's a little bit on the small side. I think... What am I missing here? It's a 3 wide entrance, isn't it? And then this guy should be missing there, and lost another one. Alright, let's jump down before we get before we get attackified. Before we have any issues with more monsters spawning. Oh, I hear a skeleton. Oh, he's gonna come for me, isn't he? Oh, he's shooting me. He's shooting me. Where are you? Where are you, guy? Oh, you're there. Alright. Ha! That's right. Feel the power of sharpness. That's right. You wish it wasn't that sharp, don't you? Alright, let's pick up the last of the steaks, because why not? Throw our drops in here. Head back upstairs. Alright, so, what was I talking about 3 years ago? Oh, the day-night. Let's talk about the day-night and then get into the science news. Just finish up sort of my final thoughts on the day-night. So if it was a little bit longer, I would definitely be more of a fan of that. I think it would give you more time to gather any necessary resources to help you be able to fight a little bit longer of a battle, if you will. I need to get some dirt on my hot bar. Okay. Yeah, I think it would help in terms of gathering resources, if that would be a necessary thing. I sure hope you can't hear them roughhousing up there. So, let's move on to the science news. I feel like I wanted to go further, but then I heard them stomping around, and I sort of forgot where I wanted to go. Not to mention, this episode is getting quite long, about 45 minutes in, 46 minutes in now. So, let's jump into that science news. I guess I wanted to finish what I was saying about that beforehand. So what I was doing before was just sort of finding news of the day, news of the week stuff, infographic, and just sort of reporting on the headlines there. But this time, I think from now on, what I'm going to be doing is instead of shift, I keep hitting caps lock because it's in a funky position, and so I keep wondering if I'm hitting the right button or not. But from now on, I think what I'm going to do is just find an article and throw it up, vomit everywhere because it's just so disgusting using news outlets. No, finding a headline that I think is cool, relevant, whatever, and just sort of taking the heart of it and sort of just reporting on that myself, and sort of, if I think it's something opinion-worthy, I will give it an opinion as well. So today, in the news, we have found, and by we, of course, I mean scientists at MIT have developed the ability to implant mice with false memories. These memories can be induced and are just as strong as real memories, sort of giving proof to psychologists, something they've hypothesized for quite a while, for many years. I shouldn't be going up any higher. Right, because this is the height. I believe this is the height. If not, I can fix it later off camera. I feel like I need to be too higher. I feel like I should be too higher. Maybe. Possibly. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I count from the bottom? I don't know. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, one more. Okay. So, the great Albert Einstein, so almost a double quote of the day today. Albert Einstein is known, or has been quoted as saying, that memory is deceptive because it is colored by today's events. And that actually is very true. That's sort of leading off of, I think, quite a few hypotheses that the psychologists, have been saying for a while, how the memories are very deceptive in and of themselves. I've known, and I've sort of been saying for years, that eyewitness testimony is the absolutely least reliable. Again, apologize if you can hear them stomping around. It was quite a loud and large stomp. But I've been saying for years that eyewitnesses are the absolute worst of eyewitness account and testimony. Is the absolute worst in terms of evidence. You can and do convince yourselves of things. So you can delude, and that's not necessarily meant in a negative sense, but you can delude yourself into thinking virtually anything that you want. And I think that was the issue last time. I forgot to put a block there, and I think that's why things got all messed up, and I hit caps again instead of shift. But you can really delude yourself into believing virtually anything if you tell yourself enough times, hey, this, and that sort of goes along with power of positive and even negative thinking. Both can be extremely powerful, positive or detrimental in the negative. If you have a lot of negative thoughts or negative thinking, that can convince yourself of negative things. So, of course, it's always good to have a positive outlook on things and try to look on the sunny side, if you will. But it's interesting because in this particular case, what the researchers did was they implanted memories that never happened into mice, and these memories were measured to be as strong as a real memory. So that is pretty darn cool. Let's cut ourselves a way in, light up the top, so we hopefully don't have many more. We do have a spawning problem. We've almost seen it every episode now. That should be center, right? And let's put some water down. Do I want to make an infinite source? Probably, at least briefly, so I can do this properly, so I don't have to jump on down. Oh, no. You go away. And you go away. Bam. And bam. So new water mechanics, you can do an infinite source like that, which to me is pretty dang awesome. And now let's first have a little snack here. Have a little snack here. And then get rid of our infinite source. Cut that on down. So I'm definitely not going to have time, as we are approaching the hour mark here. Definitely not going to have the time to... I wonder if I could jump and hit it. Let's try that again. I'm very good at parkour. I'm really terrible at parkour. Yeah, so let's... No. Pillar it is. Pillar and jump. Yes. Yes, we are quickly approaching the hour long. Cool. Looks like it didn't interfere with that. Did I fix that other one? I think it was this one, right? That it was off by one. It needed to go that direction one. You could almost say it needed to go in one direction. Yeah, I'm sure you caught that. Run ourselves along here. Throw our infinite, or not infinite source, but our last water bucket on over to here, which center is this one. Looks pretty centered to me. Throw that in there. Hopefully that doesn't hit anything. Do we need to light it up in here a little bit? Probably should light that. That side up, possibly that side up. Put that guy there. So definitely some real progress made today. We got this new walkway here. We built another one of those. So probably next time we will finish building our mini cylinders and then get them connected up here by our cobble walkways. But we could actually probably just take this all the way down, couldn't we? Do one of these. So I will definitely have to find some sort of solution for where those guys end up, but I am liking the way that this is looking. Definitely liking it quite a bit. I think that's starting to look pretty darn cool, and I think once we go ahead and attach the next walkway system over there and over there, I think that is going to definitely be something really cool. Now I may go crazy here. I may go pretty darn wild and make this a 2 or 3 or possibly 4 wide down, because I want to give it the illusion, at least from this sort of perspective here, that these are more powerful or have more whatever you want to call it than the internal guys. So I think that's going to be pretty darn cool. And yeah, I think that's going to call it done for this episode here. covered quite a few topics, quite a few talking points, and my voice is starting to say, you know what, you need to stop talking now. So I think I will, and until next time, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you when I see you.